Hey there, internet friends, and welcome to another episode of That Nerdy Site Show, a weekly podcast where the team members from That Nerdy Site get together to talk about our lives and all of the nerdy things we love about them. I'm your host, Trevor Starkey, and it's a solo show this week. Scheduling just didn't really work out with everybody, so it's just me for a short little check-in episode this week. But I am going to be talking about new Pokemon Snap. I sat down and played through the game this weekend. Haven't seen everything there is to see in there, but I have played through and rolled credits and everything. So I've beaten the game essentially. So I will kind of give my initial impressions on new Pokemon Snap. But before we do, a little bit of housekeeping. If you like what you hear, please remember to like, subscribe, rate, review, share the podcast with your friends, click the notification bell on YouTube, all that fun stuff. And if you're feeling extra generous, you can always support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thatnerdysite, just like all of our wonderful monthly Patreon producers have. Thank you to Pam Larson, Sherry Starkey, Teresa Wilkinson, and myself, Trevor Starkey. Thank you to everybody else who supports us on Patreon, just not at the producer level as well. It's much appreciated. This episode is going to be all about new Pokemon Snap. I am a fan of the original Pokemon Snap back in the N64. That certainly came out, I would say, in the much more in the heyday of me enjoying Pokemon and being kind of immersed in Pokemon. And it's one of those games, I'm like a ton of other people on the internet. I would have loved a Pokemon Snap, like a new game back with the Wii or the Wii U. And at least now we're finally getting one with the Switch. And even though I haven't played the kind of mainline Pokemon games for the last two installments, I still figured I'd hop in here and play new Pokemon Snap, see how it is, how it kind of compares, I guess, to my memories of the original Pokemon Snap. And yeah, it's I would say it's a fun enough game. I had a good time with Pokemon Snap. I have a lot of gripes with it though as well. I thought it was lazy isn't the right word, and I never I want to be cognizant about not calling a game lazy or game developers lazy or anything like that. But there were a lot of choices in this game that I feel like were the first step of what I think could have been great ideas, and they just don't go those extra mile. It weirdly, like, it's a fine game, but I feel like there were just elements missing from what I would have liked. In particular, I feel like I don't have as much agency over the world as I did in the original Pokemon Snap. And part of that I'm sure we'll get into in some of kind of the level design elements. But like, I remember in the original Pokemon Snap, I feel like I could throw a Charmander into a volcano or something, and he evolved into a Charizard, or Charmeleon into a volcano, and he evolved into a Charizard or something like that. And so I kept waiting for those kinds of moments in this game, and they just didn't come. In fact, I don't think in any level, I don't think I encountered like the first form of a Pokemon and then the evolved form. Like, I don't think there was any of that. The way you can like, adjust or do something to Pokemon usually just turns into like, oh, you make them do an animation of something. Which there was a lot of that in the original game as well too. So I'm not like completely disregarding that, but there were just I felt like there should have been bigger moments in this that I just was missing. And the most direct comparison, I guess, is so in this game, when you deliver your pictures at the end of the level, they're ranked 1 to 4 stars. And it seems often arbitrary in what's the difference between a 1-star, a 2-star, a 3-star, and a 4-star on a Pokemon. But the 4-star is usually like, oh, they're doing a special move, or they're doing some kind of like unique animation because you threw a fruit at them at the right moment, or you hit them with an Illumina ball, Lumina orb. What are the balls that like make you light up if you've seen the trailers and stuff for the game, or or you interacted with the world in some kind of way to make them do something kind of large and flamboyant or something like that. But not always. Sometimes it's like it just ends up being like even a more simple thing that is a 4-star, or the thing that I thought was going to be like the big grandiose move ends up being like a 2-star rating or a 3-star rating. And so I just don't understand. They don't do a great job of explaining the differences between the Pokemon professor's ratings in this one. And the fact that you can only turn in one picture per Pokemon means that you might have taken a 1-star, a 2-star, a 3-star, and even a 4-star all in the same level, in the same stage, but you're only going to get credit for one of them on that turn. And if you've already taken if you've already delivered a 1, 2, and a 4-star rating, it's probably going to just be most worth it for you to turn in the 3-star rating one to get the points for that, as opposed to comparing your 4-star versus like the previous 4-star rating that you have on file, effectively. Because that's all it's going to do, is it's going to look and say, like, let's compare these two pictures. Oh, you've got the positioning a little bit better on this one, and they're a little bit bigger in this one. So you scored like 50 points higher out of like 4,000 or something like that. And so at the end of that, you're just going to get an extra 50 points, compared to if you like turn in a 3-star that you haven't turned in. You'll usually get like a couple thousand points off of that first, attempt or something like that. So I have an issue with like how that feels, because I was more often underwhelmed than anything. I didn't. There were a lot of times I took a picture and I'd be like, oh, that was a really cool picture, and then I get to the end and it'd be like a 1-star, and I'm like, what the hell? Like that sucks. That's not rewarding to me, or it doesn't feel rewarding when I felt really good about the thing and the game's like, hey, this was, bottom of the barrel kind of thing. So that was a little disappointing. And also I guess the breadth of the game is, I wish there were more to it. I want to say there's like 6 main locations throughout the course of the game, and each of those 6 typically has like 2 or 3 tracks that you're going to go on, but a lot of times it's just a day version of a track and the night version of a track, and then maybe a second track. And then each of the areas will have like the Illumina spot, where it's basically like the Pokemon Snap equivalent of a boss battle or something like that, where you're trying to track down or uncover the big mystical magical storyline thing of that you're trying to hunt down. And so I wish there were more biomes, I guess, to explore, because they pretty much hit you with like a grassland, a jungle, a beach, an underwater, a snow area, a volcano, and so yeah, I wish there were more on that front as well. I wish that there had been, or just like more variety among them, especially when you have 17 different Pokemon types at this point, I think. Yeah, it would have been cool if there was like a city level or something like that, and so you're encountering your more pedestrian types of Pokemon or something like that. There's a cave level as well. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, like ultimately, there is variation among those levels, because as you go through and you turn in your Pokemon and you get your experience points, you will, for each level, you'll gain a new research level. And so you'll start at research level 1 on each of those stages. And then when you level up to research level 2, the route will change a little bit, or, a new Pokemon will appear, or they'll have some slight, variations. But even there, there were so many times where I would go from like level 1 to level 2, and I'd be like, okay, cool, let's see what's new in this thing. And there'd be like one new Pokemon that got added to the track. And I was just like, it was another case of like, oh, that's a letdown. Like there wasn't it was it the game moves by inches instead of yards or miles or something like that. Like you it's amusing that this game comes out at the same on the same day as Returnal on PlayStation, which is a roguelike, and you're gonna die and you're gonna like play the same kinds of things over and over again. Pokemon Snap the exact same way, less dying, but you're going to play the same map over and over again because you're gonna have to take pictures of those 1, 2, 3, and 4 stars to level up, and some of them you might not get until research level 2 or 3 on that stage. And yeah, it's just it's it the game just moves so incrementally slow that I was let down a lot of the time. Whereas on the flip side, when you're actually in a stage, oftentimes you're moving too quickly to like frame a great shot or something like that. The fact that you don't have like and the game does, when you zoom in or when you're turned around or something like that, it does slow you down, but not to a noticeable degree. And so there were so many times where like the little notification would come up of like, hey, there's something in your vicinity that you can scan. Go ahead and scan that. And those were often the ways of like, okay, I can scan things. Oh, I can go this path or this path. I can go left or right here. Oh, so I have to push, the X button again or whatever and hold it to make the detour path or something like that. But there were so many times where like the first time through, I didn't even have enough time to scan the thing and then like do the second scan to do it. It'd just be like, oh, here's the way to go. Oh, and you missed the opportunity. And so I was annoyed by that as well. And so it was like, okay, well, if I really want to take that detour path, I have to basically be ready to go and ready prepared for it when the time comes. So it leads to a little bit of like a change in your approach, but not like it was more just like annoying than anything else. Really was a lot of this game. Honestly, it was there were annoying elements that over any other things. Like the positives, I will say, like it is a very pretty looking game for a Nintendo art style kind of like it has those feels and that animation style to it and stuff. So it's not gonna be pushing the hardware to the limits or something like that, but it looks pretty in its animation and its art style. The Pokemon look fun and pretty. When the handful of them that are doing moves, as in like Pokemon like Ember or Shockwave or something like that, they look cool, I guess. But even there, very few Pokemon are actually doing like moves from the game, or from the game series or anything like that. It's more often they're just walking around or maybe doing a little dance, or no, mostly just those two things. It's very rare that you'll get one that a thing that comes in and electric shocks some fruit or something like that. And that ends up usually being like, oh, okay, that's clearly going to be a 4-star, picture, because I caught them in the act of doing the electroshock. Other elements that kind of add to at least the replayability in at least a more interesting way than just having to take multiple pictures of the same kinds of things there are requests. And basically it'll be like, oh, you've unlocked this area, so here's a request. Go capture this Pokemon doing that little dance thing they do, or doing that special move they do. And so it's basically trying to guide you into the higher star rating pictures and the little special things that are hidden kind of in the levels and stuff. But I can't tell you how many times I would get a request for a thing after I had already done the thing, after I had already gotten them to do that thing. That's when the request came in, and it didn't count retroactively, so I'd have to go back and do the level just to like ping that request again and just to replicate what I had already done. So that's another element where it's just like I don't know the rationale behind that design choice. Like I already, a lot of times it was like it's already the picture I have on file. It is that thing that you want the request of, and just because of how they dole it out, I was ahead of the game, I guess, in some cases. And so like that was another area where it's just like, this is frustrating for no reason. Like this shouldn't be this way, but it is. And so I end up kind of, down on the game a little bit. Ultimately, I want to say I'm somewhere, having beaten the game and snapped most of the Pokemon. I want to say I'm somewhere in like 175-ish range for my photo decks. I'm sure there's like a bunch more to look to find, because I haven't gone through and done. I think that like the highest research level I've gotten on any of the any of the levels, I think, is research level 3, and I'm pretty sure they go up to 4, just like the star ratings and stuff. And it's just, it's a game that I will probably continue to hop in and have some fun and do a stage or two to try and get the newest things. But I don't know how much longer I'm going to stick with it. It doesn't have like for a game that is like what 20 years on from the original Pokemon Snap or something like that. I don't know how when the original one came out. I didn't look that up, but like it doesn't feel like it is leaps and bounds ahead of what it should be, of what it was and what it should be. So that's, yeah, I think like I'll keep checking in, and I haven't done anything with like the online features. I haven't done anything with like the stickers and stuff. You do get, when you unlock achievements, when you get, the 5 dark Pokemon, you'll get like a sticker or something that you can throw on your pictures to make them, a little more fun before you upload them to the internet for, the rest of the online space to see. I'm not doing anything with that. It's not my cup of tea. I don't think I ever even took the old ones to like Blockbuster to get the old ones printed. But it's fun. I've seen a handful of my friends kind of sharing those things online, and I'm glad that feature's there for them. But yeah, it's not my thing. And so it very much is really at this point. It just kind of boils down to like you're chasing a high score, and when you beat the game, they introduce a couple of things that are like, hey, now we'll show you, the high score you got on a single run, and you can always try and like do better on a run of a level or something like that. Cool. But it's mostly like, oh, okay, like I know I can get that picture I took a little bit better. I appreciate that it's not locked to motion controls. I've played most of the game on a Pro Controller. So that was, beneficial, because I would not want to be holding my Switch around and doing, this kind of thing to take the pictures. For audio listeners, I grabbed my Switch and was, moving it around the screen. So I appreciate that it has like Pro Controller support and stuff. But yeah, it's very much I'll play a little bit here and there, but it's gonna be like, if this was the game that came out 20 years ago, I feel like this would be a very forgettable game, and that's disappointing. Or maybe we were just dumber when we were kids and built this thing up. Maybe the original Pokemon Snap sucks too, and or doesn't suck, but isn't as great as I remember it, and I've just built it up into this mythology in my head. But yeah, I wish I liked the game better than I did. I wish it was more fun and charming, and maybe for its target audience it is. Who knows? I guess a good barometer would be I can check in with my sister. I gave the game to her for her birthday here this week. Or her birthday was a little while ago, but we were finally able to meet up and celebrate and stuff. And so maybe she'll enjoy it. Who knows? But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on new Pokemon Snap. A little rambly, little just kind of all over the place on that. But that's that's just what I felt about the game. So let me know I guess, in the comments below, or tweet at me or whatever what you think about the game, if you played it and if you like it, significantly more than I do, or if we're on the same page, or if you're like, no, you were too generous, too kind, Trevor. Let me know, and we can chat about the game on the social medias and stuff like that. But yeah, that's gonna do it. It's a quick, short episode this week. I could have thrown in additional talk about Invincible. That's season 1 wrapped up, and I thought it was phenomenal. But I'll wait until I get somebody else to bounce off with that. And then I just haven't put too much time into Returnal yet to really kind of weigh in on that compared to Pokemon Snap. And even that, like, another element, I guess, is like Pokemon Snap. I feel like I played 6 hours maybe over the 6 to 8 hours over the course of the weekend. So it was a pretty short game, really, which is another thing that, like, and I'm sure there's more in there because I haven't done all the requests and stuff like that. But yeah, I wish it was a bigger, bolder, better game. I wish it was trying to do more new and interesting things than it does. But such is life. So yeah, those are my thoughts on new Pokemon Snap. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. You can follow me at Trevor J. Starkey on Twitter. Go ahead and, again, tweet at me your thoughts on the game if you have any that you want to kind of share. I'm certainly open to kind of engaging in the conversation and stuff like that. Other than that, I will say check out this week's That News You Care About. That'll go live on Wednesday. Me, Cameron, Logan all sat down with Kyle Seeley, the developer behind Emily is Away 3, and we had a great conversation with him. So check that out when it comes out. It's very spoilery into Emily is Away 3, though. So if you have not played the game yet, maybe hold off until you do that. But it was great sitting down, just chatting with him and catching up, and like, he had a great time, like, hearing our reactions to the game, and we got to kind of pick his brain on a handful of things. So that was a fun thing. So definitely check out that episode when it goes live later this week. You can follow all of us over at That Nerdy Site and go to thatnerdysite.com for all the latest content from us, including all of our podcasts, as well as our Tuesday, Thursday Let's Plays that go live. If you liked what you heard, once again, please rate, review, share, like, subscribe, and maybe even consider supporting us over on Patreon. Patreon.com/thatnerdysite, where every patron gets early access to a monthly bonus episode of this very show. This month's early access episode is me and Logan sitting down and me basically picking Logan's brain about what makes a good James Bond movie, because he is, of course, a diehard James Bond fan, and so I knew he could talk at length about that topic. And so we kind of dive into the different elements that go into a James Bond movie and his favorites kind of across the spectrum there. So that is going to do it. As always, thank you for listening. Stay nerdy and be good to each other.